Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today in this video I want to talk a little bit about the last session of D&D that I ran for my friends, the Galfail Nexus. It was a 3-session little adventure that it started in the arena. It was that day we only played with 2 players and it was just fights after fights after fights, and then they had to get out of the arena and then we stopped there. Then we continued entering into the Galfail Mountains. Some stuff happened there. If you want to know more about it, I have another video from a stream that I did where I basically recap everything. And finally, there was the last session where we had 2 more players joined, and there was basically the end of that adventure. So because I'm a really noob DM and we are all really noob players, I basically wanted to get a feel of how it went. I think it was a lot of fun and they enjoyed it, but of course it was too long. Like, we know that, we all know that. Like, the thing is that with some of the friends leaving back to different countries, basically we had to rush some stuff to basically get to a point where we can say, okay, we ended this, we can continue with some of the players, but at least we didn't stop in a weird point. So that's why we rushed it, and apart from this feed that I'm expecting, and I was really tired after so many hours of playing, that's fine. But I wanted to get extra feedback in specific things of how the adventure went. So that's why I created a Google form. I tried other online services for that, but all of them have a limit in the number of questions you can make, which it was quite of a shame because I wanted to ask many questions, especially because there are like 3 different sessions to get feedback about. So I just went with Google Forms. It's quite decent and it's completely free, and then you can export all your data into a spreadsheet, so that's what I did. And then you can see and get feedback and see the patterns that your players are not gonna tell you, but that's a trick. Like, if you ask the correct question, you can start seeing patterns, that things that the player want but they don't really know how to tell you. So let's take a look at the first session, the arena. So the first question I asked was, this being called first D&D session, like, from everybody, like, we played Fate years ago, like a couple of days, but we don't have time to continue and stuff like that, and we actually preferred to move to D&D mainly because I thought that in Fate it required from us a lot of imagination and narrative to describe the battles, and if you want to actually run a game with battles, I think that D&D it's much better for it, or at least for us at this point where we are quite noobs in role-playing games. So I'm quite happy with this because, like, we actually like it a lot and the players enjoy it, which is perfect for me. And then I asked the tricky question, the crucial question that I wanted to know: what do you prefer? Like, did you prefer the combats, the NPC interactions that there were not many, but there were some, or having to come up with escape plan and how all that stuff went? And of course, they went with all of them. They went for the combat. They actually enjoy the combat. They prefer the combat in D&D much than they did it on Fate. So that's pretty cool, and because I know what type of adventure they want to run. Still, you will see, like, with the rest of questions, that it's not nobody wants only combat. Maybe somebody, but like, we don't want only combat. But I think that the combat, compared with the other things we did on the arena, it was a crucial part of it. What could have been different? Basically, it was our first session, so I think everybody was pretty cool. Like, it was a good introduction to the game, they told me, so I think that was pretty cool. That's a question I wanted to make them. What would you have done differently? Because as a person and as a friend and more as a DM, I sometimes want to ask for my friends and for my players something. It's like, we're here to have a good time, but I also want a little dedication from you. So, of course, this was just the first session. We didn't know what we were doing. We made the characters on the fly in like 15 minutes. So it was kind of a mess. But the players agreed that after 3 sessions, like, remembering how it went in the first one, they obviously could have used the skills better. And for example, that we have a barbarian, and of course, like, when you start, like, having to figure out how rage works and how it doesn't have many abilities, but all the abilities and how it acts in an action or a bonus action, or the multiple attacks in the same action. All that stuff for a new player, it's not something straightforward. So now that they have been learning a little bit more, they reflect that they could have done that better. And for another player, it was basically creating a better character. Not a better in the terms of min-maxing, but like we did for him a warlock without knowing anything. So it was like a kind of quite useless warlock and didn't know the spells. Like he picked a lot of spells that were like utility spells, and it was like a big battle after battle after battle. So it was kind of a tricky situation, but it was fun anyway. So now what we did before the next one is actually sit down and basically reshape the character and give him a chance of changing all the spells to make the warlock that now he was imagining it. And I think that's fine. Like, they were here for fun. It's like we did something in the first day. We can just change it, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the narrative and the story or what is going on. This is something I was really curious about, because I like creating the world and everything, and this is my like kind of homebrew campaign, like as everybody says. But my question was, what do you think about the way I describe the environment? Are they cohesive? Like, do you get do you have the feeling that there is a bigger world in there that you can explore? And I was actually surprised that every time they said like, yes. And it's weird because for me it feels that I could do better. So I don't know if this yes is basically, oh, they're my friends, of course they are going to say positive things, or it's actually that I'm thinking because I'm stressed behind the screen, freaking out, maybe I'm doing better than what I think. So that's something for me to keep in mind, you know, and always try to improve, but I'm not doing that bad, I think. So this one question is for me one of the funny ones. Is like, what's the most interesting enemy you defeated? So on the free session, I threw at them some Aarakocras that they were captured and enslaved, and basically they were fighting on the arena. They were forced to fight on the arena, so there was kind of some fun situation where they had to actually defeat them. But I pictured the scene that were like, well, it was like a family of these bird humanoids. So there was a little bit of, should we defeat them, should we not? But if we don't, like, they're gonna kill us, because basically otherwise the orcs are gonna come for us. So it was a situation that I enjoyed quite a bit. And then they fought some gnolls and finally some orc boss that I threw at them. And of course they like this weird bird humanoid because it's something exotic. And that's something I learned from this poll, that is like, it's what they want to see more, like weird monsters and things that they have never seen before. And finally, one of the questions that I wanted to do, because basically every time that we play, we are kind of in a rush, you know? So I want to change that, I want to stop that, I want to say, okay guys, let's play, like, even if it's like 2-3 hours, but let's do it more often than now. And that was something that I wanted to learn from. So like, it's like we stop in a good time. Basically, they escaped the arena after many battles, and they were in a forest, and I said, okay, let's stop here. I didn't plan to continue that, but then life changes and we had the chance to continue. So I'm happy that they actually liked that stopping point. Moving on to session 2, it's when they are in the forest and they find themselves having to enter in this Galfail mountain. And here there is some exploration. They find some of the humans of a neighborhood town that are being enslaved here, and they are working for something. They still don't know, and they go down into the mountain to some dwarven ruins and stuff like that. So that was kind of the session 2. Again, if you want to know more, there is a whole stream that I did talking about it. But let's see what I can learn from this session. So the first question is if you have liked to explore more the forest before entering the mountain. And this was like 50-50. So I think my brother, for example, wanted to explore more the forest, but like it's not like my other friend, like he didn't. So that's something I'm not clear on why yet. It's because I didn't make the forest so interesting. And to be fair, there was nothing. Basically, there was nothing else. They had to go into the mountain if they, and they know that. Like, that's the kind of adventure we're running at the moment, because we're all noobs, so they know there is something in front of me that Alex is putting, like, that's where I need to go. Once I'm in there, then they know they can do whatever they want, and when they are in the path of the adventure, then I can improvise and change stuff, and I have different paths and all that stuff. That's fine, but at least the hook, the first thing, I'm not ready yet to give them different hooks for different things. Maybe that's something I'm planning for the next session, because now like they get out of the mountain, so it's like open world, do whatever you want, and I think that's gonna be different for everybody and it's gonna be super fun. But for now, there was not much, so I kind of agree that yes, if you don't like to explore more of the forest, it's fine because there was nothing more, but it's something I need to learn to improve. The exploration of the first rooms, so there was some rooms they were entering, like it was like some old kitchens and living spaces and bathrooms and all that stuff. So about this exploration, like I wanted to know, like, did you feel like you were entering into an old place that was heavy, like there were orcs in there, you knew, but like it was silent and you had to be careful, some stealth, like did you get the feeling about the mystery and then careful that we're exploring a place where we shouldn't, you know, that's what I want to know, and that was good. Yes, they actually got that feeling. And here again, like they explored enough, so I don't feel like the fact that they didn't want to explore more it's relevant. But what I was most scared is that if they were kind of lost, like again, because my explanations or whatever it was, if they were lost. And actually not, they actually enjoy it, but like we start seeing a pattern here. They wanted to kill more stuff and they wanted to get more loot. But it was in the beginning, like they do all of that later, but they wanted more. So, well, it's something if the players want, I guess I need to throw them more things to kill. So the next part was like these ruins I was talking about, and there was like some pit that they had to do a challenge to cross, like some battles with rust monsters and an NPC puzzle with some dwarfs that were dead. It's like a long story, you can watch the stream if you want, and there was finally a mini boss with a basilisk. So I'm quite happy that they enjoyed all of that. Like it was actually a part of only that was already an interesting adventure, but that was only part of what's going on in the mountain. The puzzle with the dwarfs, it was like a tricky thing that I improvised in the moment. They had to, and that was completely improvised. So I do a bunch of preparation because I want to, like, I'm a noob and I want to know what I'm, like, what's going on in this place of the world at least, so I can improvise later. And that actually served me to actually improvise a whole thing that was actually impactful later. So it's something that I enjoyed about DMing, you know. And then finally the battle with the Basilisk. I was really scared about this because I knew I wanted them to fight with Basilisk. Basically, what I threw at them was the final battle in Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets. Basically, that was it. That was the scene, and I'm happy they got it quite quickly. Like, oh yeah, like I like doing these things for them. The trick here was that the Basilisk in D&D, I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. First of all, it was quite deadly because I have only 2 players. If one of them is petrified or something, so I tweaked it a little bit, and also like, what's that weird thing that the image of the Basilisk, I don't like it at all. So I basically tweaked it a little bit to make it like a bigger monster that affected a bigger area. That was completely all improvised and actually went quite well because they actually told me that they were kind of scared, like in some parts, which is what I want, but at the end it was not a deadly battle. So it was, it depleted all the resources so it was a good mini boss to end the session in there. That was something I was happy with, but it was really scary when I was doing it. And then again, the same question as before, what was your favorite enemy? Like on the forest before entering the mountain, they fought some big bear and a giant goat. And it was a clue for telling them what was going on in this mountain. So, like, one of them actually wants to know more about this goat. Like, again, they already solved the thing on the mountain, but, like, they want to know more about these giant goats and fight again with them. And the other one was like, yeah, the Basilisk was super cool. So, again, it's interesting to me, like, the kind of monsters and what they like most about the game. So, that's something that I need to keep doing. And again, the same question as before, I'm not going to repeat myself, but I'm quite happy that on the second session, the opinions were the same. And here, like, one of these crucial questions that defines a party and a table. Like, which elements did you find more interesting? So, exploring of the base or the ruins, like, they actually like that. the combats even more, and the NPC interactions. I was surprised because, like, yeah, there was some prisoners and the dwarfs and all that stuff. It was actually quite interesting that they were focusing more on the combat at first, but then if you throw them NPCs, they like that, and it's something I need to give them. The stopping point in the second session was just after killing the Basilisk, and it was like a mini boss battle, so I think that was a good point for finishing there. And here is one of the questions that kill me so much. I didn't expect this answer at all. So did you like the treasure you got? So after killing the Basilisk, it was time to give them some treasure. And I had a really hard time because I'm still not aware of everything, of the magic items and all that stuff on MVC. I'm reading and I'm getting used to it, but I didn't exactly know what to give them. I made a list and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give them some gold, some gems, basically some money so they can buy later things that they need for the next adventure or whatever. Then I gave them some health potions and some kind of magical potion. But then the Kidmon, which Kidmon I gave them? I gave the Barbarian a sword that basically did some poison damage, which I thought it was kind of cool because it's like you can see it's like you're in the Basilisk room, and like you can imagine that it was part of the Basilisk and all that stuff. So I actually liked that part, and he liked it. Like in the next encounters for the next session, there were some encounters that the damage didn't apply because they were immune to poisonous damage. But on other encounters it was quite cool, and it has a better sword now. So I think that's cool. The other, it was the Warlock. I didn't know what to give to the Warlock, and I gave them something I don't think it was useful at all. So again, next time I need to basically make sure that they got more cool stuff, because they tell me once and again, like, loot. What is the loot? Like, we are here RPG players, like on all games, what you want is the loot. And that was my failure. I should give them more loot. So that's something I for sure need to improve for the next session. So moving on to the third session of the adventure, like again, we keep going through this mountain. And here we actually have two players that joined this time only. It was kind of interesting the way I joined it. It was actually felt like it was part of the story, because on the arena the players met with an NPC, like a paladin that was there. That it's actually a character, one of my characters from another campaign that I played. And what I did basically was that these new two players were looking for him, were like part of his party, sent by the queen to investigate the area, blah blah blah. So it actually felt that it was part of the story, which I actually enjoyed, and they liked. We start asking, like, did you find the runes interesting? Because there was some stuff that I came up in the way, but basically I needed to adapt the things that I was thinking, which is like a short story and all the stuff, with the fact that now I have more players. So like the combats are gonna take longer, but they also want maybe probably different things because I know them. And I actually had to rearrange a little bit all the stuff. And actually, I'm happy that they actually find these changes like interesting. I also asked directly, what would have liked to see different in the runes? And again, more loot, and it makes sense, but it didn't make sense for that place. It was like a long forgotten place for thousands of years, so everything that was there would have been already taken. And maybe I should have given more gems and gold. Then the Balrog. They really wanted the Balrog, like Lord of the Rings style. I was basically describing Moria, I think, like when they basically fight the Balrog. So like there was no Balrog here because if I had thrown another big battle, it would have been insane for them. But it's fun and interesting that they really want these things. So let's just give them to them. I need to learn that. And the other stuff is they really wanted some more interactive elements, like to know more about the lore. And this is something that shows that I probably didn't do a great work here, because the whole point of this part of the adventure in the ruins, and there was no enemies and there was no loot, it was for them to get part of the lore of this mountain that was abandoned by thousands of years ago by the dwarfs. They were basically dead, like suddenly, because some stuff happened in the wall, and like all this stuff that it's part of the background of the adventure. This was the moment where they started to look at it. And they know some things, they actually understood some of the things, but it looks like they actually wanted more stuff. During the adventure, I put like a trap. Basically, I'm not an expert at trap, and it's something I want to learn more, but I just throw like a typical trap with a pressure plate and arrows and stuff like that. And I asked, like, do you like that? Do you want more traps? Is this the kind of adventure, like more classical stuff, or we don't care about the traps? And even if they say no, I don't care. Like, there was gonna be traps when it makes sense, you know, and in this part it made sense. But I wanted to know is like, do you really want more? And actually they said yes, but some of my friends said no, so it's like, yeah, like I see the point. It's like, I feel that traps can be really interesting, but like otherwise it's just like the same over, so I need to learn and know how to do more about like these traps. Like this room with underground pools, again, you can watch the stream. It was basically some pools where enemies erupted from there, but there was some light, and if somebody was brave enough to go there, like it was a vision of a deity, like basically showing things like flashbacks and stuff like that. So it was really interesting. They actually enjoyed also like this vision. I think it was kind of fun. Again, this was basically exposure of the background of the story and everything, which I don't think they got, because they were like worried about getting in trouble in a fight, which they basically got. Was good. But I think in the next sessions I need to start dropping more hints about what's going on to see if they can link the points to this stuff. And that's something it's going to be hard. The combat in the crypt, yes. This was probably the most insane thing I did as a noob DM. This was a combat with many NPCs. And it was like a three-sided combat. There was like some skeletons with some of the orcs that were basically in these ruins exploring also, and they were our characters, the heroes. Kind of insane to run this three-sided combat, but they actually enjoyed it a lot, so it's like, wow, that's cool. Like, I didn't expect it to go that well, but it actually went pretty well, so I'm happy with that. And then we got into the final boss battle. This was a tricky battle to run, because I basically threw at them 4 modified golems, like kind of an energy golem that was feeding from the magical energy of the mountain, which is like basically the main plot of the adventure. And they actually liked it a lot. These golems, they had like so many hit points that they would have died before defeating one of the golems. And they were actually in tension because they were seeing this, like, we cannot defeat them, we're not basically damaging them. They were damaging them, but not enough. So it took them actually a while to realize that there was a strategy behind. You need to smash the source of power. You need to destroy the source of power of these golems. And once they did that, then the HP of the golems was reduced to a level that they could defeat, basically. So that was really good. It was a super interesting battle, and they enjoyed a lot. On the negative side, there was the final enemy, this warlock, the boss of the mountain, of these orcs that was doing all the bad things in this area. And to be fair, yes, it was a little lame. Like, I didn't know how to run because, well, fair enough, it was 7 hours of playing, so we were really tired at this point, especially me. But it could have been a more interesting battle. And then they also missed some interaction with the enemies, because apart from the orcs, there were like some of these humans that were slaved by them. So they wanted some interaction there to see no more the situation, what's going on. Again, I feel like there was already enough exposure of things, but still some of the dots were not linked by the players, so something I need to improve for the next time. But overall, look at that 5. They like the battle, and it's something I really enjoyed, because this battle was not just like, oh yeah, bam, 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 bam. No, it needed strategy, and I'm happy I came up with that for the final boss battle. Quite happy with it. And then this was like kind of the epilogue. It was a short scene basically to explain why the next time there are going to be 2 again. It was fine. It was enjoyable. One of them told me like maybe you could have directly like done a cinematic for that, and it's fair because like it had to happen. Like, it's not like there was a choice because they are not going to be here. So I could have done that, but on the other side I was thinking, well, maybe like you roleplay whatever you want to do, and that's it. We're gonna roll with it next time, you know. So it was a mixed bag there, but it's fine. Just to finalize some general things that I asked, what did you like most of this adventure, of these 3 sessions? And they actually enjoyed everything that happened inside the mountain, which is basically most of the adventure, so it makes fine. The combats, of course, they want combats, and combats. And they actually found interesting something I didn't plan at all, which is like the difficulty curve. I didn't plan at all, but I think it was natural for me when they were progressing, keep adding more difficult and different monsters, and then because there were more players, I could throw more things at them. So like it was this. I think it came natural. I didn't plan much. And the one thing I'm surprised is the exploration of the environment and the lore. So like I'm quite happy they actually are enjoying that. This was basically a plain question. Okay, we're here to enjoy it. There is a story going on, but you are the main characters. So tell me, what do you expect from the next sessions? Again, more loot, more monsters, more combats with more complex things going on in the combat. So that's perfectly fine. It's something I enjoy a lot. And then explore other environments and meet other characters. Of course, that needs to happen because we're out of the mountain now. So we'll see where we go. And basically know more about the setting. And this is something I was really curious about. The setting that it's homebrew by me, like it's a world that it's been my world for ages, like it's long story. But I actually enjoy that they are actually liking it. So another of these straight questions like what would you like to see this adventure again? Things that already happened. Again, the giant goat, show it again. It's like, yeah, cool. I'm gonna show you giant goats if that's what you want. And then the maps, the detailed maps that I built for the encounters and for each room, the variety of enemies, which is something I'm really interesting because sometimes like you keep fighting goals and goals and goals and goals and boring. So I think me and my players, like we prefer this variety of enemies, which sometimes is hard because you need to come up with like a reason for the monsters and the enemies to be there. But if it makes sense, it's actually quite fun. So this is one of the questions I was not sure because I was using maps, like battle maps, for almost every room, and I was like, do we really need them for every room? Because sometimes it's just a passage, But that's why I said maybe no, it's only for combat. But no, they actually like it for everything. I still think I'm gonna basically reduce a little bit because there are some times that it's not needed. But the issue that I had is that the way I set up things was basically room after room after room after room. So there was not many parts where nothing was happening. So that's why I think the maps were kind of needed and I didn't get another answer here. But maybe that changes now that we are outside and all that stuff. Rate the adventure. Everybody was happy. Of course, 8 hours was too much D&D. Like we played for so long, it was too much. Especially the third session, it was too much. Another concern about one of the players was like to speed up like the player turns, but that's something I'm not concerned at all. Some like part of these hours was because the players were slow in some parts, but that's something we need to get in the dynamic with, and being new players, of course, it takes them more time. So that's something I'm not concerned about. And that's it. That's all the questions I made them. Quite happy to how it went from my side and by the looks of it from their side. So I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. Things that I need to improve, for sure. But basically, I know what I want to do. I know what they really want. So I think I'm able to give them that. So we will see next time how it goes. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen. But I'm going to keep you updated of how this story goes. I hope you kind of enjoy this player poll. And I encourage you to do that with your players. Of course, like if you already are friends and experienced DM, maybe you do not did this. But if you are just starting, maybe it's worth just asking straight questions to the players to see what they want. And if they are your friends, they are gonna be honest with you. Like there is no point of hiding things. Like we're all here to enjoy time together, So thank you all for watching and see you next time.